Okay, hello guys. Today our topic is about trigonometric functions and equations, okay? So let's move to the first part about introduction to the trigonometric graphs, okay? So we can just trying to using different theta to put into the sine and cosine and tangent, okay? And then you'll find different values, okay? So then you can draw a graph as like here, maybe for a sine function, you can just try to put sine 50 degree, sine 30 degree, sine 60 degree, okay? And then you will draw like this graph, okay? This is for a sine function's graph, okay? Also for cosine and tangent, okay? You can draw them all, okay? And here is a sine graph, okay? So you can find here, we have a simple period as 360 degree, okay? Also, we can call this as 2 pi, okay? So we can say like 1 pi equals to 180 degree, okay? And here, that is a symmetrical line. Here is 90 degree, and here is for 180 degree, okay? So we can find here, there are some properties for y equals to sine x. First, it's starting at 0, 0, okay? And then the maximum value of it is 1 at 90 degree, okay? Then the minimum value, -1 at 270 degree, okay? That is for this. And we can set here for the period, that is for 360 degree, okay? And the symmetrical line about 90 degree, and also here you can find that is for 270 degree, okay? That is it. And here that is for the cosine graph, okay? So we can say cosine graph here is y equals to cosine x, and here we can set it starts at 0, 1, okay? And then we can set the maximum is at 1 at 0, 360 degree, okay? Here 2 points, they're both 1, okay? The minimum value here is for -1 at 180 degree, okay? So the symmetrical lines here we can say that is for 180 degree for the cosine function, okay? So also you can just try to understand it here because cosine 0 degree equals to 1, right? And cosine 90 degree equals to 0, and cosine 45 degree equals to square root 2 over 2, okay? So you can put all the values into cosine function as you can try to draw this graph, okay? That is cosine graphs. And also we can draw the tangent graph, okay? So tangent graph is very strange here, okay? So because here my graph sometimes is very strange and is out of the original fit, okay? So you can just try to understand here that for tangent graph, it just varies from -90 degree to +90 degree, okay? So because we knew that if we exactly choose 90 degree, there's no truly answer because like the denominator will be 0, right? So that's lesson we've already learned about this, okay? So we have said here for a very simple tangent x function, it varies or the domain for it is from -90 degree to 90 degree, okay? That is for the tangent graph, okay? And then you can find that it has a period for 180 degree, okay? So that is for 0 and this is for 180 degree. So here is for another 90 degree, okay? That is for 270 degree. So you can find here that just varies to the very, very further places, okay? And you want to solve the trigonometry equation like here, you want to solve sine x equals to 0.5, okay? So you can just try to understand here, you can try to draw the graph, like here is for sine x, right? So 0.5 is a horizontal line, okay? So this is for 0.5. So you can find there are two intercepts, okay? That means for this function or for this equation, we have two solutions, okay? So one here is 150 degree, another is for the 30 degree, okay? That is for the two answers right here, okay? So maybe let's move into the deliberate practice part, okay? If you want to try it yourself, you can just do it yourself and pause the video. But if you want to follow with me, you can keep on going, okay? Let's move to the first question. Like here, solving cosine x equals to 0.5, okay? So here we can first try to draw the trigonometric graph of cosine x. So here is for the graph of cosine x, right? And for 0.5, you can draw a horizontal line that is for 0.5, okay? And for the first and second intercept, okay, you can just try to draw it, okay? So this value is like pi over 3, okay? So that is cosine 60 degree, that is for pi over 3, okay? And this point, you can find that here it is like the symmetrical line here is pi. So this value can be written as pi over 3 plus another x equals to like pi, okay? This over 2. So you can just find in that x equals to 4 pi over 3, okay? So you can just try to understand it like pi over 3 equals to 60 degree, okay? So maybe you're not very familiar with this, but you just understand it like pi equals to 180 degree, okay? That is enough. So here that is for like 60 degree, and here is for 180 degree times 4 over 3, that is for 240 degree, okay? That is for problem 1. And for problem 2, solve sine x equals to negative 0.866, okay? So just you can using the calculator, okay? So you can set like sine x equals negative 0.866, so x equals to sine negative 1, like 3, that is negative 0.866, okay? But then you can find the exact x value here, okay? And for the third problem, solving that tan x equals to 1, okay? So if here x domain is from negative pi over 2 from pi over 2, you can just try to draw the graph like here, right? This is the graph. And we can find there's only y-intercept for y equals to 1 and y equals to tan x, okay? So here you can find that tan 45 degree equals to 1, right? Because in trigonometry graphs, maybe here is a triangle, right? And here's a right angle. So maybe for tan 45 degrees, 1 versus 1, okay? So we can say here the x value equals to pi over 4. But here, if the x doesn't have any domain, we can say the x can be chosen as pi over 4 plus k pi, okay? So here, k is a constant. It can be chosen as 0, 1, or negative 1, or 2, or positive 2, or some other constant, okay? Because the period of tan x is the pi, okay? And for the fourth problem, by sketching the graphs of sine x and y equals to cosine x of the same axis, find the two values of sine x equals to cosine x between 0 degree and 360 degree, okay? For this problem, you can just try to divide it by cosine x at both sides, okay? So maybe now here you are not very familiar with this, but don't be worried about this, okay? You can just try to draw the graph like here, or using another method like here. This is for, sorry, this is for sine x, and this is from 0 to 360, right? Okay, and then you can just try to draw this graph as cosine x graph. Sorry for that, okay? So sorry for that. Okay, some problem about it, okay? I'll draw it again. Like here, first is it, and then and here, and here, and then here, okay? So you can find we have two intercept in total, right? Okay, so we can say that two intercept here means that x have two roots or two solutions, okay? So this point is pi over 4, and this point you can just try to find like here. That is for pi plus pi over 4, okay? So this value is like 5 pi over 4, okay? So here we can set, because 1 pi equals to 180 degrees, so you can set like this value is 180 degree over 4, and 5 times 180 degree over 4, okay? This value is 45 degree, and this value is like 35 degree, oh sorry, here is for 45 degree times 5 is 225 degree, okay? So that's for all today's lesson. I hope you can understanding for how to calculating the trigonometric functions. Okay, they are very important for you to solve such problems. Okay, so that's for today's lesson. See you next time. Bye.